Welcome back to another episode of the Outsider Sports Baseball Podcast. Full house tonight. Corey, Jason, John Pauline, Dylan, Mel, Ben Mandel. 50% happiness, 50% utter despair.
No, it's 50% utter despair, 25% happiness, and 25% the world's on fire, but we're living with it and we're rolling with the punches.
It's been a bad time to be a baseball fan in New York. Except if you like Grimace and pretty solid pop music. What do you think of OMG?
I'll be completely honest with you. I actually haven't listened to the full song yet.
What type of Met fan are you?
One who does not care about Jose Iglesias' music.
I think it sounds like you're a fake fan.
Look, I sent this to, I don't know if I sent this in the group. I know I sent it to Corey before, but Red Sox fans at 49-40. They might make the playoffs. They might be good enough to make the playoffs, but that's more an indictment on the playoff format, which I honestly think is true. That's the truest of these statements. Yankee fans at 55-37. Fire the manager, release everyone, cancel the season.
Yes.
At 55-37.
Yes.
The Mets fans at 44-44. The purple blob will lead us to greatness. Utter delusion, chaos, and enjoyment as a Mets fan.
And that's the episode.
Yep. Yeah. I'm 0-3 at Yankee games this year. I was there for Yankees-Dodgers, that first game where the Dodgers won in 10 innings. I was there for Game 1, Yankees-Mets, where the Mets killed us. Judge had that grand slam to make it look competitive, but it was never competitive. Then I was there on the 4th of July to see the Reds just stomp out their season. It's over. It's over. I don't know. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But
be open-minded going into the trade deadline.
Yeah, open-minded, like the gaping wound after I shoot myself from watching this team.
I will say a bunch of Yankees management, including Hal Steinbrenner, took the travel to Tampa to the Trop for the game tonight.
I'm glad they're seeing this atrocity on the field.
Yeah, so I'm glad that they're losing these games in front of them, right? Because it's like if they swept the Rays, they'd be like, see, it was just right there in front of us.
But the only time Hal ever goes to a game is if it's in Florida. Like he rarely makes that trek up to New York. But again, we'll get into what's wrong with the Yankees in a little bit. I do want to start off talking about the home run derby coming up. We have 6 out of the 8 participants in there. Gunnar Henderson with his 27 homers, Pete Alonso with 18, Alec Boehm with 11, Bobby Wood Jr. with 15, Marcelo Zuna with 23, Jose Ramirez with 23. One of those names is not like the others. What 2 other players do you want to see round out this, 8-man group? But be realistic, not guys that have, declined the invite. So no Judge, Soto, Ohtani.
Yordan Alvarez.
Didn't he decline it?
I know, but in an ideal world, it's Aaron Judge and Yordan Alvarez.
Yes.
I want to see those 2 guys in the Derby. The problem is no one wants to do it. Like, you'd love to see Devers. Honestly, I'd have no issue seeing Christian Walker or Josh Naylor in the
I think those are
Derby.
2 very realistic options.
Maybe even a Santander mixed in. But like at the same time, did Harper say he's not going to do it?
I think
just coming off of an injury,
he's probably not.
And the fact that Boehm is doing it makes you at least think that he's not. Like, there's no way that they would have picked 11 home run Boehm.
But 11 from 15 isn't that big of a difference. Just saying.
Let's get Ben Rice in there.
That's 4 home run difference from 11 to 15.
Yeah, I mean, Bobby Witt, you could also say doesn't deserve to be in there, I guess, then.
You're right, 15 homers. He started off pretty hot with that, then kind of tailed off.
Well, look, I came out and said that I don't think Pete Alonso deserves to be in at 18 home runs before we started recording this. So it's not like I'm just picking on Alec Boehm, But just in general, you don't have the best power hitters in the league. If you had the top 8 power hitters going head to head, excluding Ohtani for injury reasons, obviously, he's the only one who gets a pass this year.
Why does he get a pass?
Well, Harper could get a pass too.
Harper's a lot more removed from Tommy John. Shohei Ohtani's trying to pitch again next year. We can give him a pass there. But you want the best power hitters in the game. You have Judge. You have Gunnar Henderson this year. Marcell Ozuna and Jose Ramirez are good options. But it's Yordan Alvarez, Bryce Harper, Juan Soto, Pete Alonso, maybe based off name recognition. But honestly, I'd rather see a Josh Naylor or Christian Walker in that situation. You should have to have a home run requirement. But this is what happens when people don't want to do the event anymore.
The only thing I want to kind of say you're wrong on is Marcell Ozuna being nice. He's got the same amount of home runs as J-Ram, Santander. He's 6th in the league in home runs. If we're doing the top eight power hitters, Ozuna's earned his spot there.
I said Ozuna's good. Like he's
I thought you were like,
in the list. Like I'm not saying he doesn't belong. When I say Ozuna is good, I named him in one of my top 8 this year.
I mean, just Schwarber would always be fun, but he's got that injury recently. Ketel Marte's got 17, but he's not a name that excites you.
I still think Ellie De La Cruz, even though he only has 15, I think he hits the ball hard.
Yeah, Brent Rooker.
Guys, right now, if you're looking at the top 10 in home runs, you got Judge, Ohtani, Henderson, Ozuna, J-Ram, Santander, Josh Naylor, Christian Walker, Rafi Devers, Juan Soto. You have Bryce Harper sitting at 11th with 20, Yordan Alvarez at 12th with 19. Tied with him is Teoscar Hernandez, as well as Kyle Tucker.
I mean, in an ideal world, it's just in their contract that the top 8 guys got to do it if they're healthy. But it's not ever going to be. I'm just saying, that's your ideal.
Or get rid of the event.
But Ohtani's coming off Tommy John. Fine, you want to give him that injury. Judge has that nagging toe thing that's always going to be there for his career. He should get that.
Are you kidding me? You're going to compare Tommy John and trying to pitch again next year to a toe?
Ben, an injury is
going out running around, he's swinging a bat. It's the same as batting practice. You're going to blame a toe?
Then why are we giving Ohtani a pass for a pitcher's injury if he's playing this year and hitting?
Because you use your elbow to swing.
But he's swinging this year, so why is that a?
Because there's a big difference between trying to hit and pitch again and Aaron Judge a year removed from a toe injury.
That affects planting and torque. So, I mean, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Dude, fuck you. no. It's toe.
And it's a pitcher's injury. We're talking about offensive Ohtani. He doesn't have to throw BP to all the other hitters during home run derby.
Corey.
I don't know what you want from me.
If Garrett Cole threw BP for Rafi Devers, would he be minus money to win it?
Yes. Absolutely.
I don't know. It depends if Max Scherzer's throwing a Matt Olson.
But, I don't know. I do think the top 8 should be in it, but it's hard to force them. The home run derby just doesn't have the same juice that it used to. John and I spoke about it last week. Our favorite memories watching Josh Hamilton mash at Yankee Stadium in 2008 and still losing the home run derby to Justin Morneau.
in Queens before he was in Queens.
Cano in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
Back when it mattered, just like the dunk contest, it's over.
Back when it was 10 outs and the home run derby lasted all night. At this point, with the way the home run derby's going, just get rid of the event, have the celebrity softball game be played live, and be done with it.
Well, you saw that they changed the rules again.
No, now it's back to that. It's back to that 1 through 8 top 4 advance.
Well, they added an outs segment to it. So instead of
a timed outs segment.
No, but the bonus time isn't timed anymore. That's just 3 outs, no time limit.
That's what it should always be.
Right. So it's 3 outs.
How many home runs Pete Alonso would hit if he wasn't timed and he can just take 2 swings and then take break?
But how about the fact that for the actual portion, it's 40 pitches or 3 minutes. No outs, 40 pitches or 3 minutes, whichever comes first.
That's horrible.
That's what I said too last week.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's an embarrassment.
I was upset looking at the rule changes. And again, just get rid of the event at this point.
Well, then it doesn't
It's
go
not what
down
it
more
was. It's
pitches
not entertaining.
in the championship round too.
It's 30 pitches, I think, in the championship round since it's a minute less.
That's wild.
baseball has me even worse than you guys because I just no longer care. And that's even worse. At least you guys are still invested and you're passionate about it. I no longer care. I won't.
Yeah,
I probably won't even watch it if I'm being honest.
If I wasn't going to bet on it, I probably wouldn't watch it at this point. But I need to make sure Pete Alonso defends his crown.
Defends his crown? He hasn't won it since 21.
Was he in it last year?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about it.
It's his fifth straight.
I thought he's won it every year he's been in it.
No, he won it his first 2 years.
See how much it matters?
He lost
nobody
two
knows and nobody
He's
cares.
lost 2 in a row.
See, nobody watches because nobody cares anymore.
That's what I mean.
No, I have no idea. Like
This is even worse than the dunk contest.
He got knocked out by
Who's our Mac McClung this year?
I don't know.
Alec Bohm.
Alec Bohm's gonna win it.
Right,
Alec
still have
Bohm's gonna win it.
to it.
Just watch.
If Alec
He's gonna
Bohm
hit a
wins
bunch
it,
of
that's the end of the home run derby.
Field slap home runs.
If Alec Bohm wins the home run derby, that's the end of the event officially.
Honestly,
I think
though.
they should add in the bunting contest that they have in Japan. You guys ever seen that? That's
I have
electric.
not. I think that sounds like it should.
That
be
is
added.
electric. It's
Who
like
do you think would win that?
it's like closest to the pin, but bunting
Sport.
contest.
Who would win the bunting contest if they had one?
Corey, you know it would be me.
I'd say Bryce Harper. If you ever seen him lay down a bunt, he's good with it.
Anthony Rizzo.
And Ben is a master bunter. I don't think you guys realize this. For as slow as he is, he knows just where to put a bunt that he can leg out as a bunt single every time.
You guys may laugh, but Corey and I, we had very similar roles our senior year on our baseball team. We like to ride the pine.
Big morale guys. Big morale guys. We kept the vibe.
Yeah,
up.
we were both the recipients of the coaches award.
Locker room guy.
Yeah, we were locker room chemistry guys, but
Not Jim.
I
Roberts,
would
not the first one's in, last one out type guys.
I would DH once every 3 games, but occasionally I would also be called upon to pinch hit. And the only times I was ever called upon to pinch hit were first and second, nobody out, and he would have me bunt. And then the top of the order would be up with the bases loaded.
With a pinch runner on first base.
Yeah, I would, because the way high school baseball rules work, you can sub in for someone and then they can sub back in for you. So
Yeah.
Usually it was like the second baseman who I would pinch hit for. Bunt, get on base, leg it out, and then I'd get pinch run for it.
So no
One time it
runs in
happened,
your stat.
One time I walked and then they pinch ran for me. I'm like, seriously? That's all I got to walk the first today?
But there was one game
I got my
that Ben had,
steps in.
there was one game that Ben had 2 bunt singles.
Was Corey at least you got to walk to first base today?
Wait, I got one at bat my whole senior year. I walked
Was it
on
senior
4
game?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He
I
walked on
walked
4
on 4
pitches.
pitches, and the coach started yelling at me, asking me why I didn't swing, even though nothing was close.
They were all in the other batter's box. It was terrible. We played it was like South River or something. We played
It was South River. It was a terrible team. I'd like to think I set the record for most putouts in a game because I played 4 innings and almost every ball was hit right at me.
Love it.
What's it called? I had the only hit against South Brunswick, pinch hit in the 4th inning in a 5-inning, 10-run rule game. We were being no hit. Coach let me go up, not to bunt.
Yeah, that was that was just an exhibition though. Luckily, wasn't it?
No, it was a regular game.
Was it regular?
Yeah, it was against South Brunswick.
I remember that though. Yeah, that was a little blooper over the shortstop, if I remember right.
No, I slapped it through 5-6. It was on the ground. It wasn't a bloop.
But what we're saying is we'd both be better options than Alec Bowman, the home run derby.
You know who'd be a better option? Michael Kadams.
Just let him have a bat.
Or Michael Kadams pitching to Brito.
In my head, for some reason, you were going to say Michael K, and I found that to be even more funny.
All right, let's get back on track, though.
Let's get back on track. We got Tyler Glass now hitting the IL with a back issue. He's about 10 innings away from his career high in innings pitched in a season somehow.
That's unbelievable. I guess he's got to film movies at some point.
He does. Oppenheimer took a lot of his time. And, they're making a Peaky Blinders movie, so I'm sure that's where he's off to now.
Yeah.
Wander Franco is officially charged with sex abuse and sexual exploitation of a minor in the Dominican Republic. We're not going to really touch that with a 10-foot pole until things are actually official and, we know more, because right now it's innocent until proven guilty. And this brings us to the most depressing part of this show. What's wrong with the Yankees?
No shot! That was your transition.
TV anchor, not in Corey's future.
Got you talking about it. It got you really engrossed.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Right now, people are rewinding. Right now, people are rewinding the video. He didn't just say that.
I did just say that. The Yankees have lost 15-20. They haven't won back-to-back games since June 9th to June 12th versus the Royals.
Whole month.
It's bad. It's bad here. Makes me sad.
Yankees come back down to earth.
Well,
It's insane. They're still 11 games out of the Mets.
That's how good we were to start
That's
the year.
how good you still are. You don't just all of a sudden not be good at baseball.
Have you not watched the Yankees the last 3 years?
Unfortunately, this is the Yankees' current thing. Be really good for April, May, and in the middle of June, die. Is the current Yankee way.
Like, the Yankees had what, I would consider a Mets June. Like, Ben, I'm sure you can relate to this.
June,
Mets always had an awful
June, especially the last 4 years, has been their downfall.
And the Yankees had up there with the worst type of Mets June. And there's just doesn't seem like there's, light at the end of the tunnel. Your great rotation is sputtering. Your bullpen's bad. Clay Holmes is not a good closer. Your offense, outside of your 1, 2, and 3 hitters, and even then, your one hitter at Ben Rice has only played less than 20 games. So outside of Judge and Soto, everybody who's a qualified hitter has a less than league average OPS. 4 through 9 are almost automatic outs. What's wrong with them? I don't get it.
I mean, you just listed a lot of the reasons. I don't think that the season is unsalvageable, and I almost think that because of Juan Soto's contract being up at the end of the year, that might actually light a fire under the Yankees to be like, hey, if we don't clean up our act this time, we might lose the guy that we just traded a lot for. And, he's also a generational player, so we're a laughingstock. But I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. They should trade for a closer, move Clay Holmes to a setup guy. He needs to pitch more. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but the way he pitches, sinker ball guy, you have to get him out there more. They're not winning games right now, so when he does come in, it's like after days and days of rest. The starters, let's be honest, it's not really going to change. They're going to keep this rotation. It's a good enough rotation if they actually have confidence in their bullpen behind them. So maybe 1 or 2 arms there, including a closer. And then I think you just need to trade for a bat, and the rest of the lineup could kind of fall into place. Hopefully that is a second or third baseman. I've seen Ryan McMahon from the Rockies thrown around. I like that fit. But then again, you move guys down in the order. So then you could have Stanton when he's back, bat 4, McMahon 5. Now all of a sudden Rizzo in 6 or 7. DJ.
No. Rizzo will never see the field as a Yankee again.
Well, that's just not true. But if you'd like it to be Ben Rice at 6 or 7, sure, Verdugo. Like, the team's not as far away as you think. And there's been plenty of World Series teams in recent years that have had a worse record at this point of the season. It's just, do the Yankees, for the first time in however many years, actually have some kind of fire under their ass and make some moves at the deadline that actually improve the team?
Look, maybe Corey's trying to do what I did to Texas last year, but a lot of the things Corey just described are what every team in Major League Baseball outside of Baltimore has to deal with. I mean, pitching as a whole, not many teams have depth, including Baltimore, to be honest with you. Baltimore has an outstanding lineup. Nobody's as deep, no one's as young, and no one's as homegrown as they are. It's impressive. But when you look at, what the Yankees are going through, it is what every team goes through. I mean, every team has had to deal with pitching injuries. Nobody has 8 starters. Guess what? Most teams deal with 2 to 3, maybe even 4 injuries to their rotation at once at some point in the season. It's going to happen. Everybody's lineup goes cold. Everybody has a guy who gets hurt, and all of a sudden you don't produce the same way, so you have a bit of a cold stretch. I mean, you look at what the Mets started the season with. They started, 0-5? Like, yeah, you're going to have slow stretches. You're going to have slumps. You're going to have bad months. It's how you recover. It's how you bounce back. The beauty of it all is it is before the trade deadline. You have plenty of time to make the changes that you feel like you can make, get guys that you feel like you need to plug in. Dylan, you say one bat. Guess what? It is not uncommon for a team to be able to go out and get 3 or 4 bats, not game changers by any means, but 3 or 4 guys who you could plug in who all of a sudden turn you from a good lineup to a great lineup. It gives you the depth. It gives you the ability to plug and play and, build lineups for a lefty versus a righty. Who knows? But there's time.
Yeah, I don't think that the starting pitching needs to change. I understand that they haven't been great. Does anybody here have a lack of faith that Garrett Cole will figure it out and get back to an elite level by the end of the year? Unless it's the Red Sox in the wild card game. I feel pretty good about him. Luis Gil has been...
I'm scared of Cole. I don't know if he'll ever get back to form.
I think that's crazy to say.
Just because just the nature of his injury, I don't know how, if it ever comes back, it could be one of those things that could be a nagging thing.
I mean, it could be, but I think it's crazy for that to be where you're at mentally with it.
Oh, mentally, I don't think we can improve the starting rotation because I think the talent.
I don't think we need to.
I don't think we need to because I think talent-wise, it should be a top 3 rotation in baseball easily because you have Cole, Rodon, who is talented. He's just not performing well. Stroman, who's been solid. Nestor, Heel, Schmidt should be back. I mean, Cody Poteet was good when he played too. But just everybody pitched so great together, and then for everybody to fall off together at the same time, it's just a rough stretch. I'm more worried about the offense and the bullpen.
I think that's where a lot of the struggles come from the starters, where they feel like if I don't have a perfect game, this bullpen's not backing me up, and when I leave the game, it might be 1-0.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I think there's only one reliever I have faith in right now, and that's Luke Weaver.
Yeah.
Outside of him,
at the end of the day, Corey, you say this is year 3 in a row that this is now happening where the Yankees start strong and just implode by the summer. You've been saying it all 3 years. Boone's got to go at this point. Like that, it can't be the players who are having the same issues year in and year out.
I think Boone, though, being the scapegoat is short-sighted because
that's
Boone,
that's not being a scapegoat. That's pointing out the fact that every single team he has managed for the Yankees has fallen apart when it started to matter.
But even calling him a manager seems like a misuse of the word.
I have a question for John.
Title.
Do you think
title? You can
John,
argue that nobody in baseball is a manager anymore. Then
I got a question for John. John, do you think that a mid-season manager shift with a pretty good roster could maybe reinvigorate a team?
Yeah, I wonder when the last time that
I
happened.
mean,
As a resident Phillies fan.
I mean, honestly, you saw it with, the Phillies with Girardi and then Rob Thompson, but that was
What
more.
was
I don't
Rob
think
Thompson's role with the Phillies before the Girardi firing?
Bench coach.
He was a bench coach, right?
Brad Osmus, welcome to being the Yankees manager.
But like, I think you have to identify the problem as the manager, though. Like,
or we can do Louis Rojas.
Just let Judge manage the team, considering it's
Honestly,
just analytics guys, anyways.
I do feel like Louis Rojas, although his tenure with the Mets was not good, it wasn't really his fault. I believe he's going to be a very good manager at some point.
Even though he's like the most stupidly aggressive third base coach I've ever seen, I still like him.
This team needs aggression.
Yes, exactly why I think I still like him.
But the thing is, though,
Well, he's got a pitch comm in his ear. Boone tells him when to send.
But the thing is, though, if the problem, like, is that the problem you're going with, where it's Boone's the problem? Like, is that the actual problem with the Yankees, or do you think it's something?
I don't
else?
think there's one singular problem.
Well, no, I genuinely believe that you have some sort of leadership issue. If you are running into the same issue, it hasn't been the same players. There's been a different mix of guys, the same core, but a different mix of guys around them. Guys that have gotten past this point. And you're telling me all of a sudden they can't? With supposedly a better cast around them?
Aaron Boone has a certain denial of things. I don't know if you guys ever watch his interviews on Talking Yanks, but he's on there like once a week. And like when they're doing good, it's fun. But like obviously he was just on there today and they haven't been doing good. And they were like, hey, if you were to see Garrett Cole, Rafael Devers in like another spot, like, would you be worried? He's like, not at all. And like they're like, not at all. He's got like a 3.025 OPS against Cole, and 5 of his 6 hits are home runs. And is like, are you sure? He goes, well, I just think that'll end up going the other way at some point. It's like that's your solution. Like, it just feels like his solution as a manager is pull the magic conch shell and it just says nothing.
Honestly, no, that does obviously not to that extent, but it feels like he's very much I'm not gonna adapt. I'm doing it my way.
But
there's
like
no change.
With that leadership though in the locker room, how much do you blame Aaron Judge, though, for his leadership as Yankee captain? Him and Boone have the very similar laissez-faire attitude towards,
leadership doesn't, especially in baseball, doesn't come down to a player so much as a captain. It comes down to a manager and how he runs the team. At the end of the day, Aaron Boone still is the one who makes changes. He's still the one who technically puts out the lineup card and signs it. He's
Boone
the one
wouldn't be the manager, though, if Judge didn't vouch to bring him back, though. When his contract was up, they asked Judge, would you rather keep Boone or look somewhere else? And Judge said, keep Boone. So, I mean, Judge has to have some responsibility with that then.
It's funny because he's the cool guy, never on anybody's ass.
I'll tell you right now, when in college, my college was awful at football my first 2 years. If they had asked me, bring in a new coach or keep the same one, I would have been very loyal to my guy and the guy who brought me there. When at the end of the day, the better decision for the program was to bring the new guy in. Because guess what? If you asked any of us, we would have said, stick with our old guy. There's a difference. When you play for someone, if a guy hasn't lost the locker room, it's a little bit different. But at the end of the day, ownership, Cashman, they need to, at some point, just decide to pull the plug and realize that you're not going to get 9 years out of every single manager.
But what about Cashman then? Shouldn't he have the same hook as Boone at this point?
I agree.
I want to defend Cashman a little bit. I do
defend him because of what he's done, but
every year we've come into the season saying this is a World Series caliber roster. Like, that's all he can do.
No, but that's not true because he's also deciding the manager who is running those groups of guys.
So you
And at
could
the end of the
punish him
day,
for that.
You should not get the chance to hire more than 2 managers. You should get your first. Occasionally, you get a second. You should never get a third.
I mean, Cashman's been the GM for 26 years,
and that's where the gray area kind of comes in, because if you're the GM that long, you're gonna have coaching changes. And to be honest with you, most of his coaching hires have been great because they have lasted 5+ years.
Actually, no, this is Cashman's second coaching hire because Torrey was in place before Cashman took over as GM in 1998. Torrey came in 2006. Dick Michaels hired him. So
exactly.
Cashman's
So he hired Girardi, and then he hired
Boone. So he's on that second coaching hire.
Exactly. You don't get a third. Do you think he hit a home run with Girardi?
Won a World Series.
No, yes, he did win a World Series.
I don't know if I'd say like
that. Team was Yankees' expectations is not to win 1 World Series in 10 years. Their expectations are to win.
It's just hard to say when you win a title that it's not a home run. I think it's a solo shot.
What was the worst decision though? Hiring Boone or firing Girardi?
I think firing Girardi.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I don't think Girardi deserved to be let go when he did.
The team still hasn't been as successful besides the 1 year.
Wait, let's roll on back in.
Sometimes a team can't. They reach their peak with how much they can grow under a coach.
John,
and
what do you
as
think
shown
about
with the Phillies,
what I think about
Girardi didn't fit in the new version of the MLB. And I think the Yankees were a bit ahead of the curve on that.
No.
But who knows? I think it might have been a different situation if he never had to leave New York and he had Garrett Cole and he had this pitching staff that Aaron Boone gets to work with.
But I mean, Ben's kind of right. I think Girardi just doesn't fit like the way he manages teams. Like he's tougher on the younger, just tougher on younger players. I don't think he's a
now we
big
got the
locker room guy. Yeah. And then you get someone like, Thompson comes in who's like a little bit more a locker room guy, more player manager. And it's just like, and I think I talked about with you, Corey, I think like either before the podcast or at the podcast last time where it's like good teams with like good locker rooms and when they're having fun and they're like really gelling, they have good chemistry, like they just seem like they always play good. And like Ben was saying, you don't want to put too much on the players and the captains, but I think you do put some on them. Like you need your locker room guys to step up. And like you're talking about the Mets earlier in Grimace, but I mean, really, it probably started from when Lindor didn't he have that player meeting and stuff, and kind of lit a fire under them and stuff and got them going again. I mean, it's like the players.
The Jorge Lopez situation was kind of the beginning.
Yeah, but like Lindor came in and he. Took control and he got like the locker room back on track and stuff. And like the manager's job is to kind of, just kind of like help them keep that going and, make the locker room.
I'm willing to bet that the manager said something to Lindor. Like, hey, like I need you to fire up the team.
Well,
yeah, that might well have been it.
And I don't think Aaron Boone would ever say that to Aaron Judge.
Look, I do need to give John this because, look, yes, obviously the Mets have been playing better. This isn't something a manager's going to say, and I did send this over to you guys the other day. Yeah. Lindor and Nimmo have been paying for all the Mets team dinners on the road. Yeah. And during their trip to Washington, which was a week ago, during the rain delay, they got in very late. So Nimmo apparently ordered a whole bunch of food to like a banquet hall. Apparently, for all of these team dinners, attendance has been 100%. No one's missed it. The chemistry's there, and you're not wrong, Corey. It's free food. But look, these guys are showing up. They're coming together. But even with, the free food gets you in the door. Now you're spending more time together. There is a little bit more chemistry. It's not a coincidence that, with this chemistry and camaraderie and, guys like Nimmo and Lindor stepping up, that the Mets are, coming out and looking a little bit better.
But it's just simple fact is like when you play sports, I mean, even as a kid, like when you're having fun, you're playing good. And then when you're playing good, you're having fun. And it just like, it feeds a cycle. It's just but then eventually, it's a long season, 162 games, long season, but eventually you're going to hit a rough patch. And the thing is like keeping that fun and keeping the, energy high and morale high when you hit that rough patch. That's the challenge.
Let's end this segment with this. do the Yankees give me a winning percentage for the Yankees from now until the end of the season? Are they a 500 team? Do they play 600 ball? Like, give me a win percentage, and then we could revisit this at the end of the year. Because right now the Yankees are at the lowest of the low.
5.75. A little bit better than 500. Well, yeah, that's solid. That's like 10 games over an 80-game stretch.
I'd give it 55. So 550.
550. John?
I'll go 600 on the dot.
What was this? Really? You guys suck, man.
Nah, yeah, I mean,
Well, what do you want me to say? 80? Like, why would I be like?
What do you want me to say? Do you want me to go like say they're going to be 500 on the dot? 525?
You guys are prices right in me.
Do you want to say? I mean, well, what am I
I'm
going to
gonna
do?
I'm gonna go 536.
I was gonna say if you said 580, you.
I was so close to saying 574.
Yeah, but he doesn't believe that they'll win that many games.
But I mean, like, realistically, between 500 600 is probably where they're going to fall.
Which means if let's say they play 500 baseball from here out, they're what? Like, they're a 90+ win ball club.
That gets bounced embarrassingly in the first round.
90+ wins. They're not going to get bounced in the first round. Do you think the Yankees are losing a 3-game series?
Yes, in 2 games.
Yeah, if they play Boston, they might.
I was going to say they're going to host not host, but they're going to play a shitty team, probably Seattle, and Seattle's going to deal with some curse, or they're going to play fucking Minnesota.
Well, if they play Minnesota, though, yes, no matter how bad the Yankees are, they'll beat the Twins.
That's what I mean. They're gonna draw Minnesota or Seattle or in
Baltimore.
Some wacky universe, Oakland.
So I have a question though before we move on. Let's say that even if they beat Minnesota and then they go lose to Baltimore, is that even like good enough? Like, probably not, right?
Based off recent track record and history, that's good enough for Aaron Boone to be back another year.
Is it good enough for Juan Soto to be back another year? Because I guarantee you,
it is. He'll be back in New York.
I mean,
Aaron Judge had
be on the other side.
Yeah, my thing is, Aaron Judge got to pick if Aaron Boone was around on his contract extension. Hey, Soto, you like Aaron Boone? No, he's gone. Soto could be the saving grace for getting rid of Aaron Boone at that point.
Let's hope, because as much as it hasn't shown yet, Mendoza is an Aaron Boone manager, an Aaron Boone disciple. You're going to get a lot of that from him. You just haven't seen it yet. You might have seen glimpses.
Look, from what I've already seen out of Mendoza, I already am not the biggest fan. I don't like the way he handled the whole Diaz situation.
Alex Cora, I give a half-decent chance to be a New York manager next year.
I would be ecstatic if Alex Cora was the Mets manager.
I think there's zero shot he's the Yankees manager.
I don't think he ever would go to the Bronx.
I don't think the Bronx would ever take him.
I don't think the Red Sox would ever let him go, to be honest.
Oh, I think he gets fired at the end of the year.
I think he survived.
Fired? We're going to make the playoffs. On a team that we thought was going to be shit.
It's going to be one of those front office shakeups. So
why would they do a front office shakeup? Everything seems to be working. The rebuild's working.
I'm going based off of my friends who are Red Sox fans that live up in Boston.
Completely different team than what they saw in April. That's what the vibe and the words that I heard inside Fenway tonight.
Ignoring whatever that was. The big vibe up there right now is that Cora and the Red Sox are going to likely mutually part ways because he's not a fan of what the front office is doing, and that there's a big rift between the two.
Look, I'm sure Cora has been upset about.
Also, a free agent at the end of the year, Cora.
Yeah, but look, I think the fact that he survived the whole suspension thing and.
I can see him leave, just not to the Yankees.
No.
I don't think the Mets are going to move off Mendoza so quickly. I would hope that they do, and I would be ecstatic if Alex Cora is our manager. But I just don't see Boston moving off of him. I think that he's considered one of the top managers in baseball, and like you guys are saying, this is a team that's overachieving and was not expected to do much.
Yeah. But let's kind of go on to some players that are overachieving and then also not doing much. They're studs and duds. For me, I'm going to go Andrew Abbott, Cincinnati starting pitcher. You know, he's gone 2-0 over the last week in his 2 games, 6 hits, 13 and a third innings, 1 earned run for a good .68 ERA, 6 walks, 10 strikeouts. Really great for the Cincinnati starter. And somebody who hasn't been great is Aaron Judge. 5 games, 20 at bats worth. He's got 2 hits. He's hitting 100 on the dot. And that goes with 2 walks, which is uncharacteristic. No home runs, 7 strikeouts over the last week. That's kind of bad for Judge. No home runs, and he still's got the league lead by 5, I think it is. He's got a .383 OPS, which is atrocious. No RBIs, just really, really bad. What about you guys? Who's your studs and duds?
I'll go. My stud this week is Oakland Athletic, Brent Rooker. He has he went 10 for 20, 3 home runs, 7 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 3 walks, only struck out 3 times. Like I feel like that's crazy that he's even on the Athletic. Like he's probably I think he's probably the reason why they're doing so well. And my dud, someone I guess one of the worst teams this year, Ezekiel Tovar from the Rockies. He went 0 for 24 with
What a week.
Caught stealing once and then struck out 11 times. I don't know, like I don't know, like how about like he's like.
No, it's just the way Dylan said that.
I mean, I don't know how more of a dud you can get than that. Like that's just like.
Oh, I got you beat. Somehow I got you beat. But I'll go with my stud first. Pains me to do it, but had to do it. Rafi Devers batting .375 over the last week, 3 homers, 10 RBIs. I'm convinced all of that game versus the Yankees, at least that's how it felt. And my dud, we just talked about him at length, but it's Aaron Boone, and it will continue to be Aaron Boone until he is fired. That is my proclamation. He will continue to be dud until he's fired or wins a World Series.
Yeah, look, I'm taking a similar route with my dud. I was joking around before. I said I was going to do Harrison Bader, but I really just pulled a random name out. He didn't have a bad week. I have to go with the Mets manager, Carlos Mendoza, and I am pointing out Christian Scott specifically as the reason why Carlos Mendoza. They've been extremely inconsistent with him so far in terms of his innings, letting him go a little bit further some days, hard capping him at 75 pitches other days. Carlos Mendoza, figure it out.
I was at a golf tournament yesterday, and my friend was watching the Mets on his phone as we were driving around in the car. It's great day. But when Mendoza took Scott out at 77 pitches,
yep,
we were all talking about it. And then we heard from a hole, maybe 2 holes away, what the F? Then they start yelling about Mendoza taking Scott out, just people flipping out.
Because they hard capped him at 75 for some reason. It was clearly the game.
90 something his outing before.
Exactly. Extremely inconsistent. It's, I no idea why. And shame on the New York media for not getting a good answer on that. But on a more positive note, my stud, it's Brenton Doyle. The right fielder was named the American League Player of the Week. National League. Don't know why I backtracked there. It's the right fielder for the Rockies. He currently has 11 home runs on the year. 5 of them so far in July after hitting another one today. He hit 4 last week, including a 2-home run game against the Brewers.
Put him in the Derby.
He's picking up Tovar's spot.
with his 11 home runs, he really
11 homers? Put him in the Derby.
Hey, 5 in July, that should be good enough to get you in. But look, solid week for Brenton Doyle.
If we see that name announced as one of the final 2 in this home run derby,
That is
Brenton Rooker versus Brenton Doyle versus Alec Boehm in the championship round.
yeah.
You know, John, it's funny you just said Brenton Rooker, because when you said Brent Rooker, I thought you took my guy. I was like,
yeah, I got confused. No, like it's easy to confuse with a similar name. I was like,
I had to like look at my guy's name again to make sure. I was like, oh, okay.
yeah, I was like,
that is, geez, the home run derby is embarrassing. But let's talk about the home run. Let's talk about the All-Star game. You know, the main event, the Midsummer Classic. Final rosters have been put out there. Now they're not finalized because some players are still going to opt out. They're going to have some more replacements due to injuries and other stuff. But running through the American League roster real quick, the catchers are Adley Rutschman and Salvador Perez. First base, Vladimir Guerrero, Josh Naylor. Second base, Jose Altuve, Marcus Semien. Third base, Jose Ramirez, Rafael Devers, Jordan Westberg, Isaac Paredes. Shortstop, Gunnar Henderson, Carlos Correa, Bobby Witt Jr. Outfielders, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Stephen Kwan, Jarren Duran, Riley Green, Kyle Tucker. DH, Yordan Alvarez, and David Fry. And the pitchers, Tyler Anderson, Corbin Burns, Emmanuel Clase, Garrett Crochet, Logan Gilbert, Clay Holmes, Tanner Houck, Seth Lugo, Mason Miller, Cole Raggins, and Kirby Yates. Who do you guys feel is the biggest name left off the American League roster?
Somebody should be in over Clay Holmes.
Absolutely.
Pick any relief pitcher. Go ahead. No. Off the American League roster, I have a good answer for the NL, so I'll let somebody else take the AL.
Like, for me, I think Santander of the Orioles is a huge missed opportunity to be on this team.
Yeah.
Santander's a snub, especially with the year he's having. And if you think about it, just how special it is for him to kind of be doing this in Baltimore, because he's one of those guys who's kind of survived.
Yeah.
He's like the longest tenured player there, I believe.
Exactly.
Feels that way, yeah.
Like, now that Trey Mancini, moved on a couple of years ago, it feels like he's kind of taken that mantle. And the Orioles always have one that you just root for because he's the longest tenured guy on a team that doesn't win.
I think he is, because they just asked Boone on like a trivia question, who's the only Oriole that's still on the roster from the first time he faced them as a manager, and it was Santander.
that sounds right.
He's still super young compared for how long he's been around.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might be just a quick Google search. The Google AI overview says Ryan Mountcastle's the longest tenured.
He's been there. Yeah,
All right. Santander's the longest tenured homegrown, because Mountcastle, I believe, started with the Royals.
That's O'Hearn started with the Royals.
Who am I thinking of?
O'Hearn?
No. What am I thinking of with Mountcastle then?
I don't know. Mountcastle, at least a quick search says that, but I'm not going to say that that's accurate.
No, I think it might be right. The question,
joined the team in 2020.
Mountcastle's been there a long time, though.
He joined the team in 2020.
Mountcastle?
Yes, that's what this says.
Yeah, I mean, Santander debuted in 2017, so that kind of
Mullins' debut.
spells it right.
Cedric
there.
Mullins was Boone's first guess, and the answer was no. So after Santander,
Cedric Mullins been there, because Cedric Mullins been there a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So, I mean, Santander, let's go with him. He's been there since 2017. But I was going to ask you guys who we think the biggest, add to the All-Star team, I guess, like who's least deserving. But we all kind of know it's Clay Holmes. So it's not even worth asking that. Holmes said he was ready to be on the beach in Montauk or at home in Nashville when he got the call that he was on the team. And he said he was as surprised as anybody. So it's always great when you hear that. Love the confidence.
I mean, at least he's self-aware.
You should see all the NHL players when they find out that they make the All-Star team. They get so annoyed because that's when they all plan their vacations and they have to tell their wives and kids, "Oh yeah, by the way, we're going to Toronto." Like, they're planning on going to some island.
Heard Toronto in February is wonderful this year.
Well, exactly.
But now going on to the National League, running through that roster real quick. Catchers William Contreras and Will Smith. First base, Bryce Harper, Pete Alonso, Freddie Freeman. Second base, Ketel Marte and Luis Arias. Third base, Alec Boehm, Ryan McMahon. Shortstops, Trey Turner, C.J. Abrams, Mookie Betts, and Ellie De La Cruz. Outfielders, Jerks and Profar, Fernando Tatis Jr., Christian Yelich, Teoscar Hernandez and Jackson Merrill, Brian Reynolds and Heliot Ramos. DHs, Shohei Ohtani and Marcelo Zuna. Pitchers, Tyler Glasnow, Hunter Green, Ryan Helsley, Jeff Hoffman, Shota Imanaga, Reynaldo Lopez, Robert Suarez, Ranger Suarez, Matt Strom, Paul Skeens, Tanner Scott, Chris Sale, Logan Webb, and Zach Wheeler. So same questions. First, who's the biggest snub?
Christian Walker.
Christian Walker is absolutely the biggest.
By far. I mean, this is a guy who's had a ridiculous amount of home runs. And, like 22. We said, Pete Alonso shouldn't be in this All-Star game.
There are two Mets I can think of that deserve it more than Alonso.
Luis Severino.
No.
Lindor?
I believe so.
Francisco Lindor should have his first All-Star appearance as a Met this year.
I think he shouldn't in terms of the shortstops that are in the league. He's not had a top 3 or 4 shortstop season.
But what about Nimmo then?
I think Nimmo's been strong, but Nimmo also has missed some time. He's been in and out, and he's been very good as of late. But he started the season off horrible.
So now that we've determined Christian Walker is the biggest snub, the player who's least deserving on this National League team, I feel, is Pete Alonso. And that leads me to ask you guys, is Pete Alonso only on the All-Star team so he could be in the Home Run Derby? Because he has only said that he'll be in the Derby if he's only on the All-Star team. He won't do the Derby and not be on the All-Star team. So do they kind of force him to be the Mets representative just to beef up the Home Run Derby?
I'm going to say yes to that. But he is not the most undeserving person on this roster. And John, you know who I am going to say.
Which Phillies reliever?
Is it a reliever? Is it a pitcher? Or is it a...
It's Jerks and Profar.
What? Don't even... He deserves to be there.
I have a vendetta against Jerks and Profar.
I think he might be the most deserving player out of any NL player this year to be an All-Star.
Nope. Jerks and Profar.
I thought you were going to say
like
Trey Turner.
An all-star caliber player.
He
I don't
is
care
an
how
all-star
good
caliber
your numbers
player.
are. You are not an all-star caliber player.
I mean, there's been so many. How many players have there been in the past where it's like one and done? They have like a good season, all-star once, and you never hear him again. Like he absolutely deserves to be there.
No, I mean, so Jerks and Profar is an all-star this year, right? Can we all agree on that? That he is on the all-star team?
Yes, he is on the all-star team.
So isn't him being on the all-star team what makes him an all-star player?
That's what I mean. He is not deserving. He should not be an all-star.
Why is he not deserving?
I do not believe he is an all-star caliber player. He should never be allowed to say that he's a major league all-star, just like I cannot say I am a major league all-star. He can say he's a major league player.
Well,
but him and I should both be able to say we're not all-stars.
I mean,
but he kind of deserved it. He's earned it this year.
Like he's batting .315 with 14 homers and 59 RBIs. He's leading the Padres in every category there.
The Padres, yeah, exactly. That's why the Padres suck.
So should Tatis not be on there, or is he all-star
Jackson,
caliber?
I don't
Do
think
you
Tatis
just have a
should be on
vendetta
there
against the
But you know what?
Padres?
Star power is going to do what it
Was
does.
it the
And I think
Padres starting
Tatis also
outfield are
provides
all
a bit more
all-stars?
defensively that Profar does not.
Who hurt you, Ben? Who hurt you?
Jurickson Profar, apparently. Apparently.
No, in all seriousness, that's more.
And the
more
Padres are over
just-
500, so like they're not. That's not like they're over
No,
500.
in all seriousness, the tirade on Profar is more just frustration because I went on a tangent
And then
2
he hit a
weeks
grand
ago
slam and then walked
saying
off the game.
how Profar does not deserve to be an all-star, and then literally the day after I say it, he goes and hits a grand slam. Like,
And then not only that, then I think the next game, the next day, he walked the game off against.
and then the next day
he walked the
did
game off.
this, and then the next day he threw a guy out at third base.
And the next day. And the next day.
But let's finish it up with our weekly series highlight. For me, I'm going Seattle, San Diego, 2 teams above 500, but neither team really exciting. I don't want to say it's like a battle of mid, but a battle of above average, but not great. They're good, but not great teams.
A battle of one team with great outfielders and a battle of another team with Jerickson Profar and Fernando Tatis Jr.
So a battle of a team full of shortstops, because Jackson Merrill, I think, also was a shortstop at one point. And versus a team who's got insane pitching. And if Brian Wu can stay healthy, he could be the best pitcher in baseball with his talent. But that's the matchup I'm looking at. I think that should be a really fun one with 2 pretty good teams.
Yeah, I'm going Mets-Nats, and that's strictly because on Thursday I will be at Citi Field, 1 o'clock. Hopefully it doesn't rain. Let's go Mets. Grimace era continues into the All-Star break.
I'm gonna go an easy one. Phillies Dodgers. They already played tonight. Phillies beat the Dodgers 10-1. With Trey Turner hit a grand slam, so should be nice. Hopefully they can sweep the Dodgers here at home.
I'm going to go Astros Rangers because somehow, some way, after everything we talked about for the first month of the season, going into the All-Star break, the Astros have a shot to be leading the AL West if they perform well enough and the Mariners lose some games.
You can thank Seattle for just being so mediocre. I mean, very disappointing first half for Seattle. They had the ability to do what Texas did last year, and that's gain a cushion and build a lead so that way you can hold on to it when Houston gets hot, and they just couldn't.
And then blow it at the end of the season.
So this is how the Yankees, end their season, right? The Astros knock them out in the playoffs again.
I don't know if I could.
We're on a collision course for that.
I mean, Verdugo and Soto match up well with the Astros. Apparently, if you go back all the way to when life was good in March, April,
feels like a lifetime ago. But that's going to do it for us here. We'll be back at it next week, talking some more All-Star Derby. Maybe we'll have some predictions. But that's going to do it for us. Hopefully the Yankees bring me some happiness. Unlikely. They're going to get deeper and deeper in their hole. But for John Pauline, Corey Jason, Dylan Mel, and Ben Mandel, this has been the Outsider Sports Baseball Podcast, signing off.